Drug ships in the Americas have become a major threat, carrying tons of cocaine and weapons through maritime routes. The U.S. Navy routinely patrols to intercept these vessels, but in 2025, a raid on a $7 billion drug ship uncovered horrifying contents, igniting a global narco-terror war. Below is the account of this incident, from a high-seas interception to an outcome that stunned the world. On a moonless night in 2025, in the Indian Ocean near Somalia's coast, the U.S. Navy destroyer USS Decatur detected a $7 billion drug ship loaded with cocaine and suspicious cargo. Radar swept relentlessly, and the Decatur closed in, broadcasting demands to stop. The drug ship, armed with machine guns and RPGs, suddenly opened fire, bullets tearing into the Decatur's deck. Alarms wailed, U.S. sailors scrambled, and missiles from the destroyer screamed forward, sinking the drug ship in a massive explosion. Debris flew like a tempest, oil slicks ignited on the sea, turning the area into a fiery abyss. U.S. sailors boarded the wreck, bracing for what lay inside. As U.S. sailors boarded the sinking drug ship, they uncovered a chilling find. Beneath layers of cocaine were containers holding miniaturized nuclear weapons and guided missiles worth $7 billion, sourced from a terrorist network. A secondary explosion rocked the ship when a booby-trapped bomb detonated, forcing sailors to flee amid fire and smoke. Captives on board, forced laborers, cried for rescue in the chaos. The Navy called for backup, but the ship sank rapidly, dragging the weapons containers into the depths. Black smoke choked the sky, relentless blasts churning the sea, transforming the Indian Ocean into a chaotic war zone where every second pulsed with danger. The conflict surged into electronic terrorism warfare with terrifying speed. The terrorist network, alerted to the ship sinking, deployed hackers to attack U.S. command systems, leaking fleet positions. The U.S. retaliated by crippling terrorist servers in the Middle East, using AI-driven viruses to seize control. In the skies, terrorist drones swarmed U.S. ships, exploding in fireballs that illuminated the night. Missiles from terrorist bases targeted the U.S., but American laser defenses incinerated them in blinding flashes. The war expanded as allies joined, turning the Indian Ocean into a multi-layered flashpoint where digital and physical destruction fused in pandemonium. The terrorist network called for aid from rogue nations, triggering attacks on U.S. infrastructure in Africa and Asia. A massive explosion destroyed an oil pipeline in Nigeria, sparking fires that spread for miles. The U.S. Navy responded with lightning raids on terrorist training camps in Somalia, using guided missiles to obliterate targets from afar. The war spilled onto borders, with ferocious battles shaking coastal cities. The global economy reeled as oil prices skyrocketed, shipping routes halted. Satellite imagery revealed massive fires and black smoke blanketing the region, marking an unprecedented phase of savage warfare. The raid's fallout triggered a global terrorism crisis. With nuclear weapons lost, terrorist groups worldwide scrambled to claim them, sparking attacks in Europe and the U.S. Drug and arms prices soared, fueling crime waves. Nations urgently collaborated to hunt the missing weapons, with international special forces raiding hideouts. Autonomous robots cleared radioactive zones, while relief convoys faced kidnappings. The U.S. and affected nations formed anti-terrorism pacts, but chaos persisted, with small-scale nuclear detonations signaling a new era of global terrorism. Somali piracy has haunted the Indian Ocean for decades, with bold raids on commercial ships disrupting global trade. U.S. Navy tankers, vital for fuel supply, patrol these waters to counter threats. In 2025, a massive pirate swarm attacked a U.S. tanker off the Somali coast, igniting a brutal showdown that exposed vulnerabilities and reshaped maritime security. Below is the account of this confrontation, from a midnight assault to an outcome that left the world stunned. At 3:30 a.m. on a moonless night in 2025, the U.S. Navy tanker USNS Supply steamed through the Gulf of Aden, its deck lights dimmed for stealth. Radar picked up faint blips. 250 Somali pirates in speedboats, armed with RPGs and machine guns, swarming from hidden coves. Engines roaring like demons, they closed in, grapples hooking the hull as pirates boarded in waves. Alarms blared, sailors rushed to positions, and gunfire erupted amid the chaos. An RPG struck the bridge, flames leaping as pirates poured onto the deck. The tanker shuddered, turning the calm sea into a frenzy of shadows and muzzle flashes. The crew fought back with ferocious intensity. Marines from an embedded security team unleashed M4 rifles, mowing down pirates in bursts of fire, bodies tumbling into the churning waves. The ship's .50 cal machine guns raked the boats, exploding fuel tanks and fiery geysers that lit up the night. Pirates climbed rails, hurling grenades that rocked the decks, one blasting through a hatch and igniting ammunition stores. Sailors sealed compartments, counterattacking with flashbangs and shotguns in close-quarters carnage. A pirate speedboat rammed the hull, breaching the side, but U.S. helicopters from a nearby destroyer arrived, their rotors thundering as miniguns shredded the swarm. Blood and oil slicked the sea, transforming the tanker into a floating fortress of death. The battle plunged into an electronic maelstrom as pirates, backed by rogue state sponsors, jammed the tanker's radar with high-powered signals. U.S. countermeasures activated, deploying decoy flares that lit the sky like a false dawn, confusing pirate RPGs. Cyber intrusions attempted to seize the ship's navigation, but onboard AI defenses locked them out, retaliating by hacking pirate communications, sowing confusion in their ranks. Drones launched from the supply targeted speedboat engines, exploding in mid-water bursts that sent debris flying. The onslaught expanded as Somali shore batteries fired blindly, shells splashing near the tanker, turning the Gulf into a high-tech nightmare where invisible waves and gunfire fused in pandemonium. The swarm drew in regional forces as Ethiopian and Kenyan patrols scrambled to the scene, their helicopters joining the fray in a multi-nation shootout. Pirates retreated to shore, lobbing mortars that ignited oil drums on the tanker's deck, flames roaring skyward. U.S. destroyers arrived, their Tomahawk missiles slamming into pirate bases on the coast, leveling compounds in thunderous blasts. Somali militias surged from the dunes, clashing with local forces in sandy firefights amid exploding vehicles. The inferno spread as burning boats drifted, igniting coastal villages, with satellite imagery showing the Gulf ablaze, marking a savage phase of warfare that engulfed the Horn of Africa. The tanker's survival sparked a global piracy surge as emboldened groups across Africa and Asia launched copycat raids on shipping lanes. Trade routes collapsed, insurance rates skyrocketed, and navies worldwide mobilized in a frantic scramble. Autonomous drone swarms patrolled high-risk waters, but pirate hackers disrupted them, causing collisions. International task forces hunted pirate leaders, but rogue alliances formed, blending piracy with terrorism. The U.S. and affected nations forged emergency pacts, but the chaos persisted, with stranded ships and economic fallout signaling a new era of maritime terror. The Ukraine-Russia war has escalated with advanced drone technology targeting critical infrastructure to disrupt supply lines. Russian ports in the Black Sea serve as vital hubs for military and trade operations, making them prime targets. In 2025, a massive Ukrainian drone swarm struck a key Russian port, unleashing a chain of events that reshaped the conflict and stunned the world. Below is the account of this confrontation, from a devastating drone assault to an outcome that left global powers reeling. Under a moonless sky in 2025, the Russian port of Novorossiysk hummed with activity, its docks loaded with military supplies and oil tankers. Ukraine, armed with intelligence from intercepted communications, launched a swarm of 1,000 AI-guided drones from hidden coastal bases. The drones, cloaked in stealth tech, descended like a storm of locusts, their payloads armed with high explosive warheads. At 3 a.m., they struck, detonating fuel depots and ammo stores in a cataclysmic blast. Fireballs erupted, lighting the horizon as cranes collapsed and ships sank in a maelstrom of flames. Alarms wailed, Russian defenses scrambled, but the port became a blazing inferno, signaling a new era of drone warfare. Russia retaliated with unrelenting fury. Hypersonic missiles launched from Black Sea warships screamed toward Ukrainian coastal cities, leveling drone assembly sites in Mykolaiv with earth-shaking explosions. Russian MiG-31 jets roared overhead, deploying anti-drone jammers that sent Ukrainian stragglers crashing into the sea. Ukraine countered with a second wave of kamikaze drones, targeting Russian naval vessels, one sinking a frigate in a fiery plume. The skies buzzed with chaos as Russian laser defenses burned drones from the air, their beams slicing through the night. Smoke and debris choked the coast, transforming the Black Sea into a deadly arena where every shadow hid a threat. The conflict spiraled into hybrid warfare with dizzying speed. Russia unleashed cyber attacks, crippling Ukraine's drone control networks and exposing troop movements online. Ukraine's cyber units struck back, hacking Russian port logistics, redirecting supply ships into traps where underwater drones detonated, ripping hulls apart. In the air, autonomous drone swarms from both sides clashed, their collisions sparking fireballs that rained debris onto the waves below. Russia deployed sonic weapons, disrupting Ukrainian drone sensors, while Ukraine countered with EMP pulses, frying Russian radar stations. The war fused digital and physical destruction, turning the Black Sea into a high-tech nightmare of code and carnage. The port's destruction ignited a regional firestorm. Russia launched a ground offensive, sending armored columns to seize Ukrainian coastal towns, sparking brutal urban battles in Kherson. Ukraine responded with precision missile strikes, obliterating Russian supply lines and igniting oil refineries, their flames visible for miles. Neighboring nations were drawn in. Turkey deployed warships to secure trade routes, while Romania bolstered border defenses. The global oil market shuddered as Black Sea exports stalled, spiking prices and halting shipments. Satellite imagery revealed burning ports and smoke-covered seas, marking a savage phase of warfare that threatened to engulf the region. The attack's fallout triggered a global trade crisis, disrupted Black Sea routes, crippled oil and grain exports, causing shortages that rocked economies from Europe to Asia. Ports worldwide tightened security, but rogue drone swarms, inspired by Ukraine's tactics, targeted shipping lanes, sinking freighters in coordinated strikes. International navies scrambled to deploy anti-drone systems, but hackers disrupted their networks, grounding patrols. The US and allies formed emergency trade pacts, but black market smuggling surged, fueling criminal networks. Autonomous robots cleared debris from ravaged ports, while aid convoys faced attacks delivering food to starving regions. The crisis halted the war's escalation, but fractured trade networks and rising piracy signaled an unstable future. The Ukraine-Russia war has seen numerous stealth attacks, with Russian radar systems becoming prime targets for deception to enable devastating strikes. Russia's air fortresses, like the IL-80 airborne command post, symbolizes its air dominance. In 2025, a Ukrainian attack using Flamingo warheads after fooling Russian radar shifted the war's tide, shocking the world. Below is the account of this confrontation, from a masterful deception to an outcome that left everyone reeling. On a foggy night in 2025, over the Black Sea near Crimea, Ukrainian forces deployed decoy drones to fool Russian radar, convincing them a massive attack was approaching from the south. As Russian radar scrambled to track the decoys, a Ukrainian F-16 squadron flew low, evading detection. Their target? Russia's IL-80 air fortress, carrying senior commanders. The decoy drones broadcast false signals, blinding Russian defenses, and suddenly, a Flamingo warhead, a 900-kilogram incendiary missile, screamed toward the IL-80, piercing its hull. The explosion shook the sky, debris flying like a firestorm, and the Air Force crashed into the sea in a blaze. Alarms blared across Russia, rescue teams scrambled, but the devastation was immense. The battlefield became a fiery abyss, setting the stage for a brutal air war. Russia retaliated instantly, launching Kh-47 M2 Kinzhal missiles from MiG-31 jets, pounding Ukrainian positions in Kherson with devastating force. Russian Su-57 jets roared in, dropping bombs on Ukrainian bunkers, rocking the city. Ukraine countered with lightning airstrikes on Russian bases in Rostov, targeting weapons depots. A ferocious air battle erupted, with jets from both sides clashing in deadly chases. Black smoke choked the sky, relentless explosions shaking the ground, transforming the Black Sea into a chaotic war zone where every moment pulsed with danger. The conflict surged into electromagnetic warfare with terrifying speed. Russia deployed EMP weapons, crippling Ukrainian radar systems near the border, disrupting communications and grounding aircraft mid-flight. Ukraine retaliated with high-energy microwave weapons, frying Russian radar stations near Crimea. Cyber attacks from both sides paralyzed command networks, with Russian hackers exposing Ukrainian troop movements, and Ukraine seizing control of Russia's coastal defenses. In the skies, AI-driven drones collided, exploding in fireballs that lit up the night. The war expanded as allies joined, turning the Black Sea into a high-tech battleground where invisible pulses and fire fused in chaos. Russia launched a massive ground offensive, aiming to seize Ukrainian cities and cut supply lines. Tank convoys rolled in, sparking ferocious urban battles. Ukraine countered with rapid ambushes, using precision-guided missiles to obliterate Russian armor. A colossal explosion destroyed a Russian munitions depot, triggering floods and displacing thousands. Neighboring nations were drawn in, with Poland bolstering borders. The global economy reeled as oil prices soared from disrupted Black Sea routes. And satellite imagery showed vast regions shrouded in smoke, marking an unprecedented phase of savage warfare. The attack's fallout triggered a global cyber crisis. Compromised networks from the cyber attacks crippled financial systems, halting international trade and banking. Nations scrambled to secure digital infrastructure, forging emergency cyber alliances. Autonomous robots cleared contaminated zones, while international relief teams faced attacks delivering aid to ravaged cities. Russia and Ukraine, battered by economic collapse, entered tense UN-mediated talks. But rogue hacker groups exploited the chaos, launching global ransomware attacks. The crisis paused major hostilities, but fractured digital networks and rising cybercrime signaled a volatile future.